Look at that. Do you like Tetraneuris scaposa? Look at that. Just a tough little goddamn daisy. Look at those. Look at all the wool. Look at all the hairs. Adaptation to a dry environment. These thin soils on this Cretaceous limestone. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Crime Pays with Botany Doesn't. Today I'm coming to you from the future car slums in the northwest suburbs of Austin, basically. This is a development that was just built recently and is building just a lot of the same trash. No offense to anyone who lives here, of course. No offense, but let's be honest and call it what it is. That's plaguing much of America. Just these single-use zoning, totally automobile dependent, I call them car slums. And when they turn into the strip mall retail, which is of course, you know, where if you live here, where you're supposed to buy all your goods, I call that the retail slum. So car slums, retail cesspools, etc. And I'm just filming here because we got a lot of cool plant species that are still occurring here that are going to get demolished soon when they continue building this stuff. And I want to document it before it all gets destroyed, because unfortunately this same type of landscape is not going away, all right? But we're still building shit like this, and it doesn't make sense to me. You know, it just makes me ask the age-old Chicago question: why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to have a gross-ass turf grass that you have to irrigate in what is essentially a desert? Okay, we're on the 100th meridian right here. This is where, you know, North America, from the more mesic and, you know, more higher rainfall east, starts transitioning into desert, all right, as you go west, all right? You look at a satellite map on the east, it's green. On the west, it's kind of beige. And so why you want to do that? We got so many cool native grass species. You're looking at a bunch of them right there. Native bunch grasses, little blue stem, Schizachyrium, Scoparium. Got a whole bunch of cool Muhlenbergias, other stuff. Why you want to have that trash, all right? All right, it's a very archaic and unenlightened way of thinking. Why you want to have that trash, all right? You don't need to do that, all right? There's another way. There's a way forward, and it's right here. You can see Louise, you know, she's sick of this stuff. She just wants to hang out in the shade. But all these plant species are a much better alternative to the garbage you see right there. So let's investigate, check them out, see what we got going on here. Just the incessant road noise behind me. Just the, you know, some meatheads revving their engines and shit. So, God, what are we doing? What a miserable way to live, dude. You spend your whole life trapped in a car, all right? And then you just get obesity, diabetes, all these health problems that, you know, of course, is a huge industry. You can make a lot of money off those once people, you know, get sick by the time they're 45 or 40 from living that way, from this living their entire lives trapped in a car and eating Whataburger. Anyway, look at this, Diosporos texana, all right? The Texas persimmon. Fuzzy leaves, again, adaptation to this dry environment, this increasingly arid environment. And once they get large, the bark is freaking beautiful on these things, all right? Real bangers, edible fruits, all right? They are a true persimmon in the same genus, all right? True persimmons, Diosporos virginiana, all right? This is Diosporos texana. Over there we got Berberis trifoliata. Right here we got a really cool Vernonia, all right? An ironweed, almost magenta / hot pink flowers on that. It'll be blooming later in the season, late summer, early fall. Vernonia lindheimeri. See that? Again, thin leaves, and they're getting kind of fuzzy, okay? Look at that, all right? Loving the limestone here. All this stuff should be used in native plant gardens right here, all right? And how many of those houses out there will be planting this stuff? Not many of them. No one knows what's here because it's all been demolished. It's all been destroyed to make way for this stuff. All right, we just, you know, there's so much land in North America and we use it so ignorantly. It's really sad. Right here we got a live oak, just means it doesn't drop its leaves and go deciduous. Quercus fusiformis. Again, flip those leaves over. Look at that indumentum. Look at those hairs, those tiny hairs, giving it kind of like a glaucous, almost white sheen to that underside, all right? Because the stomata, there's more stomata, i.e. gas pores, on the underside of that leaf than on the top. So that's where they're going to transpire moisture. That's where the hole in the bucket is. The hairs will prevent them from losing as much moisture otherwise. And then up top, it's glabrous. See that? Kind of waxy and shiny with the shit. There's, let's see, those flowers here, those are emerging flowers. Those are emerging oak catkins. So those will be the staminate flowers releasing pollen, and you got the female flowers on an oak are really easy to miss. It's just a little often three-lobed stigma poking out of the leaf axils, and of course once they get pollinated, then they swell to about, you know, 50 times their size, and you get an acorn. Doing a good job, Louie. Just hang out there, all right? Sorry I do this to you, I can't put you in daycare or nothing. So anyway, right here, Garrya lindheimeri, okay? Named after some guy named Lindheimer, you know, who was pretty prominent in Texas botany. You know how I feel about naming plants after people. I think it's stupid. There's a lot of plants named after Lindheimer. All right, if you see a plant named after Lindheimer, it's probably a Texas native. Anyway, Garrya lindheimeri. This genus, i.e. the silk tassels, all right, is what they're called. You get a lot of species in California. You even get one of them in the cloud forest of the Dominican Republic. Okay, so this thing's been all over. All right, plants tend to be dioecious, either male or female. And then see how they've got those almost segmented stems, opposite leaves, and then stem segments. All right, so those stipules kind of go across. You know, it kind of looks like at the node you've got basically that little line between the opposite leaves. It makes it look like you got a segmented stem right there, a segmented shoot. All right, and again, look at all the hairs. All right, especially on the new growth, protecting that new growth. All right, from the ultraviolet, from drying out until it can harden off and become kind of leathery like this. So you got, again, just like on that oak I showed you, you got glabrous up top and then all those hairs on the underside. All right, the flowers on these are bangers, real weird looking. And then stepping over here, look, we got the Texas, i.e. Mexican Madrone. Okay, all right, they can get a lot taller than this. I'm surprised they're even able to grow here. They can get a lot taller than this, you know, if they're growing in, say, a cloud forest in Oaxaca. But here it's so dry, they you know, they just kind of top out at like 10 feet. But look at that, hardy as hell, blueberry family. Look at those flowers. All right, buzz pollination. If you were to cut that flower open and look at the anthers, you would see those anthers have little holes in them. So you can kind of see it right now. See that? Little holes. So a bee will come up to that flower, vibrate its wings at just the right frequency, and a bunch of pollen will dump out, just like the cereal dispensers at like a, you know, one of those sleazy roadside, you know, highway off-ramp motels with the continental breakfast. Don't eat the continental breakfast. I know you want to, but don't do it. Just because it's free doesn't mean it's worth eating, all right? But if you get a chance to steal their Texas toast waffle machine, certainly do it. Look at the bark on these fucking bangers. Look at that. That's smooth and beautiful bark. All right, on the Arbutus halepensis blueberry family, but it's in the Arbutoideae subfamily. And these have actually their own special type of fungi that they're symbiotic with in the ground, all right? It forms a sheath like ectomycorrhizae around the roots, okay? Like, you know, the ectomycorrhizal fungi you get with pines and oaks, but it also kind of penetrates into the cortical cells of the roots, all right? Almost kind of like endomycorrhizae does. So, you know, it's but it's specialized to Arbutoideae. All right, all the members of that subfamily, the manzanitas, Camerostaphylos, pyrola even, I think, as well. So very cool fungus right there. All right, which is important, especially on these harsh soils. Look at that. Look, what? God, you know, that gives me PTSD. I remember friends who lived in communities like this in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. All right. It was really an unpleasant place to live. I mean, you walk outside, there's nowhere to go to. You're just trapped in a car. And I'm not knocking anybody who lives there, you know? Oftentimes people don't really have a choice, because this is how we build cities now. And we destroy all this beautiful stuff to make way for this trash landscape, all right? A generally unfulfilling, I want to live someplace I can park my truck and not have to get back in unless I got to go get groceries or something. I can walk to a coffee shop, all right? I can take my kid on a little bike ride. I can, you know, walk around, you know, say hi to people, all right? Check out, you know, lurk on some other people's gardens, see what they're doing. Go look, you know, go to the library, you know, walk around like dense, walkable places that aren't ridden with car traffic and fast food joints and endless parking lots. Look at all the Tetraneuris. See that little daisies, all right? Little limestone loving daisies that could just take that brutal heat, just getting beat down with that brutal heat. Look at the leaves on these bastards. I love this plant, all right? They're so tough, they're so hardy. Leaves are kind of scabbard. Again, got that covered in hairs on the underside, glabrous up top. Just a beast, all right? The goddamn Tetraneuris. Who doesn't love Tetraneuris, huh? You prick. Anyway, look at this. Again, thin limestone soils. We got Yucca rupicola right here, all right? Relative of agave, all right? Stabby, little stabby, all right? I like my friends a little stabby sometimes, especially, you know, people I'm in relationships with. But it sends up an inflorescence, all right, covered in, you know, 100 white flowers, pollinated by yucca moths. It's got a symbiotic relationship with the yucca moths. Female yucca moths will stuff some eggs inside that developing ovule, which later turns into a fruit inside one of the flowers, and then of course pollinates the flower as well. So it ends up pollinating the flower, and then the yucca, of course, some of those developing seeds will get eaten by the developing larva of the yucca moth. So it's a nice symbiotic relationship, probably been going on for millions of years. Right there you got Baccharis and neglecta, okay? Baccharis neglecta, sunflower family, Asteraceae, coyote bush is the common name. All right, really easy to overlook is just a quote weed. All right, see all that down there is Baccharis neglecta. But when they flower in the fall, they're covered in hundreds of butterflies. All right, plants are dioecious. All right, like cannabis, male or female. All right, so you can get one sex of flower on each plant, but they're just absolutely, you see them covered in bees, all kinds of cool native bees, wasps, sometimes bunch of cool butterflies, American snout butterflies, real fucking banger of a plant, all right? It sucks that people don't appreciate it as much as they should. I would love to have one of those in my yard. Oh, look at that. That's nice. Polygula alba, all right? Polygalaceae is somewhat related to the pea family, Fagaceae, all right? They're in the same order, Fabales. Look at that spike of flowers, though. Tiny little flowers, Polygula alba. You get this going on all the way up into Canada. You still got those wing petals. See, 2 petals on either side of that main part of the corolla. And then look at that, what would be the keel petal. Looks like it's kind of like splayed out, all right? Look, there's the green calyx. Anyway, Polygula alba, you get that going on all the way up into Canada, right, up through Montana, South Dakota, etc. And over here, this is a real banger. I'm surprised to even see this here because I normally associate it with the deserts, all right, down by the border of South Texas. Rutaceae citrus family. This is Thamnosma texensis. Look at it, and there's the fruit. It looks like a little ass. But you see those pellucid oil glands, those little dots, like you'd see on an orange peel. Smells very pleasant, very fragrant, and there's the flowers. See, yellow flowers. You get Thamnosma montana in the Mojave Desert. All right, that gets it's basically a small shrub with beautiful purple flowers. Also smells really incredible. And then you get Thamnosma africana in the deserts of Namibia. All right, look at that glaucous blue, waxy texture to those leaves. Lots of lipid molecules on the outside of that epidermal tissue, basically a wax protecting it from drying out. All right, waxes and hairs, those are the 2 ways that plants in very seasonally very dry environments protect themselves from drying out, from losing too much moisture. Anyway, there you go, Thamnosma texensis. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that.com? Maybe they don't want to do that, all right? I have a very good inkling that perhaps they don't indeed want to do that, all right? It's just the only choice they've been given. It's the only thing that's been put on the plate in front of them, okay? There's a better way. There's a better way. Anyway, look at all these cool grasses, all right? How many of those houses over there are going to have some stupid fucking lawn, all right? Kids don't like to play on a lawn. Kids like to, when I was a kid, I liked to play in stuff like this. Cutty spots, you go look for bugs, cool lizards, places to hide. Who wants to be out there in a barren, empty lawn? But tons of cool grasses right here, okay? Like the little blue stem. Look at how beautiful this thing is, all right? Look at that. Look at those. All right, those are all the seeds getting ready to take off. You see that? All right? See that? With the wind dispersal mechanism at the top of them, take some of these, grow some cool bunch grasses. All right, never have to water it. They're just adapted here. They thrive. Look down here, Muhlenbergia reverchonii. Look at it. There's the inflorescence right there. Grasses are kind of peculiar because you don't really look at the flowers. The individual flower in a grass are those tiny little things, okay? Often smaller on it, all right? All right, don't really pay attention to those. What you pay attention to is the overall shape, the fractal pattern of the inflorescence. How many times the branches divides up into sub-branches, etc. But look at this curly, wiry shit, all right? Amazing, adapted, all right? Multitude of colors, never have to mow it. Tops out at like 4 inches, very pleasant, all right? You also got Bouteloua hirsuta, the eyelash grass. Let's see if we can find some. Look at that, Bouteloua hirsuta. Bouteloua is a cool genus, man, lots of different species. And look at those spikelets, see that? All right, there's a whole inflorescence right there. Look at it, just looking like little glue-on eyebrows. How about that? Look, you got 3 different native grass species, native bunch grasses adapted to this thin limestone semi-desert that we're living in here. Let's not pretend we're somewhere else. Let's not pretend we're living on a fucking golf course, okay? We're living in a particular landscape, all right? Plants define place like nothing else. Don't fight where you live. Enjoy where you live. Learn about where you live. Celebrate where you live. Oh shit, look at this Castanea. Castanea lindheimeri, all right, one of the paintbrushes. Look at that. Those are just bracts, those red things. That's not the actual corolla. Okay, the actual corolla is in there, forming a little tube, all right, and right there poking out of that, look, you got the style. The style and stigma, all right, that's the female part. That's the gynoecium, all right, that's going to be receptive to pollen. What do you think's trying to pollinate this? Some sort of hummingbird? Probably some bees, too. Look at all the tiny hairs on it, though. Hemiparasitic, so stealing a little bit of energy from this grass that it's growing next to. Is that a Bouteloua? A Bouteloua doesn't mind. I've been doing this for millions of years, all right? It's a long-standing symbiosis. Look at that chalky mint green color of those leaves, too, all right? Adaptation to this dry environment, but they're probably going to get dumped on hopefully this summer, all right? You never know. I looked at a Castanea flower up close. Super confusing, okay? So every flower's got calyx, aka sepals, and corolla, aka petals. Castanea, all right, they're kind of hard to figure out what you're looking at. First, you have this big bract subtending each flower. That right there, those red segments right there, that's the calyx. Those are the sepals, all right? Fused, and then they open up and kind of subtend the whole flower. And then this whole tube is the corolla. And then to make it even more confusing, you have this little lip right there. See that? Those are how it kind of is like a little three-lobed lip. How about that? Like a little labium, a little lip, and then the stamens are in there. They're inside that tube, all right? So you can kind of see them poking out just barely. Well, no, not really. All right, so long filaments, 4 stamens, and then there's that style poking out the top. Castanea, very diverse genus. All of them are hemiparasitic, so they steal from whatever their host plant is, just a little bit, but they can also photosynthesize on their own. All right, rich diversity in Mexico and Western North America. Do you want to do that.com? Look at this shit. Look at what it's so funny. They destroyed this hill with all this cool plant life on it, diversity, tons of pollinators when it's going off, when things are blooming, things are just waking up now, it's still spring, and they planted all this tacky shit. Why? Don't ruin it if you don't need to. What they planted, cypress, at least those cypresses are native to North America. It looks like Arizona cypress, Hesperocyprus arizonica. But it just, I don't get it. It's such a goofy, backwards ass way of thinking. Maybe there's a regulation that made them have to do that. Who the fuck knows? None of this shit makes sense. Let's look at their trash landscaping they put in. Jesus Christ, it looks like somebody robbed the Home Depot garden section. All right, just total trash. Bulbini frutescens, all right, which is native to about 4,000 miles away on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. It has absolutely no place here, all right, not adapted to the ecology at all. You got to remember, no species is an island, all right? Plants exist as members of ecosystems. They've developed relationships with all the fungi, soil microbes, pollinators, dispersers, you know, over millions of years. Look at this. They really went heavy on the mulch here. A little heavy. All right, can't tell what grass that is. Might be a native. That's lantana, a hybrid of it. Maybe not native. Oh, God, what the shit is that? That's awful. Oh, God, myrtle spurge, Euphorbia mercenites. They do really well in a pot inside a Botox clinic, okay? You know, say in Phoenix or something, but it's got absolutely no adaptations to this ecosystem, doesn't have any relationships with the pollinators, just trash. And they planted like 20 of them, all right? Great idea. All right, and then of course we have this grass, which is going to need to be irrigated because whatever species of grass this is, even if it's native to North America, I can fucking guarantee you is not adapted to this dry, thin-soiled limestone landscape. Without throwing any shade, I just got to ask, why do you want to do that? Okay, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you just don't know a better way. All right, but this is what's happening in so much of North America. All right, it is tragic. All right, look, Louie's at home in that landscape bed. No one else will be, but she's, she seems to enjoy it. All right, there's a better way. We don't got to do this. Sometimes people need that bad trip to shake them out of whatever, bad habit that they've been in for the last 20 years of their life. Or, 200 years of their civilization. Look at it. What a shame. What a scam. I wonder how much money they're making off this development, huh? Also, some prick can go, sit on a gold-plated toilet seat and, have a sirloin steak every night for dinner. Texas false dandelion, Pyropappus pauciflorus right here. Chicory subfamily of the sunflower family Asteraceae. All right, since it's a DYC, a damn yellow composite, you got to check out those phylaries. You got the caliculi subtending that involucre. You got all those phylaries, all those bracts. Look inside, only ligulate florets, okay? Remember, every sunflower head is composed of many individual tiny flowers, all right? It's a pseudanthium, all right? A false flower. So there's those black anther tubes. You got styles poking out of each one. Each one of those black anther tubes represents a single flower, all right? Composing this multi-flowered head of this relative of lettuce. There's the basal rosetta leaves. How about that? Walking along the generally bleak median strip, which is filled with an invasive species of Erodium, geranium family, Geraniaceae, with those little stork bills, right? Erodium, real bad, nasty, invasive. But we have a native one in Texas. Walking along this bleak median strip, we got Calero involucrata, all right? Cool native mallow, all right? Almost looking like leaves of a globe mallow. There's the leaves. There's the flower. Look inside there. You could see that hibiscus-like flower, all those stamens fused into a column, a hollow column that also has the style and stigma in it. See that? And then there's the calyx. Look at all the hairs. Again, look at all the hairs. Hairs on everything on here. Hairs or wax. Okay, now just a ways down the road at another future bleak car slum. See, they always put the sign in there. So you know, at least so you know who's gonna, you know, completely fuck the landscape into a coma right here. But let's check it out. We got a couple really interesting plants growing in these hills up here that are about to be destroyed. I don't think it's really malicious. I think people just don't know. Anyway, look at this Rhus. Look at that Sumac, huh? Rhus virens just doing so well, forming a nice little population. Got Quercus bucklei back there, another cool native oak. All right, Juniper Asparagaceae. All right, that yucca again, thriving here. Low maintenance, back risk neglected, of course, covered in pollinators in the fall. God damn it, look at this wiry ass grass with you. Look, that Muhlenbergia reversionii with the Tetraneuris scaposa coming right out of it. Look at that, underappreciated, all right? Who's gonna stand up here? What about the rights of the plants to grow here? Sure, you wanna talk about economic rights, developers got a right, property owners got a right, you know, to turn their property into a total car slum, retail slum, trash, you know, general cultural detritus, whatever. What about the rights of the plants to live here, you know? All right, instead of just being fucked into a coma. Anyway, moving right along, you can see we got Chrysoctinia mexicana doing very well again. Look at the Blackfoot daisy, Melampodium leucanthum. Look at it. Look, remember, got to flip it over. Look at the side, all right? Because otherwise it just looks like every other DYC and every other little daisy out here, all right? Look at those leaves, somewhat scabbard, got the hairs on them, flip it over. Look at the filaries right there, boom. How about that? Very distinct filaries. Look how broad those are. I only got about, what, 5 or 6 of them on the underside. And look at those striations on the other side, those ligules, those rays. Banger! Look at this landscape. Who could hate this? Look, 3 or 4 different species of native grasses, low maintenance grasses that would do well in a landscape. Who could hate this, huh? Someone who obviously doesn't know shit about it, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, look at this. Native member of the mint family, Lamiaceae. This is in the genus Scutularia. All right? A little scoot. Look at the leaves actually smell somewhat pleasant. There's those flowers. All right, little landing pad for the bees that get in there. And patterning on there too, just acting as nectar guides. See that? You can see all the little trichomes on it. It doesn't get very tall, but you know, very important, and it does well here. Would do great in native plant garden. Ash, juniper everywhere, aka cedar, but it's not a true cedar because no true cedars actually grow in North America. Okay, it's just a common name, right? Anything North America someone's calling a cedar is either in the genus Thuja, Thuja, or in the genus Juniperus, the juniper. Look at those quasi-grass looking things up there, those bunches, all right? That's Nolina, all right? A relative of yuccas and agaves in the order Asparagaceae. Could be a Nolina texana or a Nolina lindheimeriana. Probably texana, but look at that, so big, all right? Sends out a white scape, unlike grasses that's insect pollinated. God damn it, you got Bootaloo, you got the Muhlenbergia, you got Schizachyrium, so many cool grasses, all right, thriving on what is essentially just limestone, just bare, dry limestone. So much good stuff. Juniperus Asparagaceae, Yucca rupicola. What else we got up here? Let's keep going. This is a cool one from a family known for toxic plants, Melampodium, in the order of lilies, Liliales, okay? Shinacolon texanum, Texas feathershank, is just colloquially known. Not flowering yet, but look at that basically folded in half lengthwise leaf, right, with the glaucous blue color to it. How about that? Holy shit. Melampodium is a cool family. Trillium's in that family. Got a lot of cool, very beautiful lily looking things in that family, but most of them are generally toxic. Look at it. The whole ground is alive. Look at that. You got lichens. You got cryptogamic crust, all right? It's basically a fungus enslaving an algae. The algae does all the photosynthesis, generating carbs, and a fungus takes it and just keeps it basically caged up. All right, farming algae. All right, pretty remarkable. Able to go dormant, able to just completely dry out and wait for the moisture to come back, wait for it to rain, and then start metabolizing and photosynthesizing again. Look at that. There's that Nolina, acaulescent. See that? So it doesn't have any stem. Just a big, wispy, lazy bunch of grass-looking stuff. But again, it's got a inflorescence, a white-flowered inflorescence that comes up and is pollinated by insects. And see that the Quercus bucklei is flowering. See those catkins? See those pendant catkins? All right, and those leaves that just burst out. So that's not a live oak. It's not an evergreen oak. All right, it's deciduous. And who do we got here? Look at this cool cactus. Holy hell. Coryphantha sulcata, which you get in Texas and you also get in northern Mexico, northern Nuevo Leon and Tamaulipas. See that? Look at those prominent tubercles. All right, and a big yellow flower when it flowers. But you can almost see that new growth starting to divide that apical meristem. See that? Oh no, hold on, there you go. All right, there you go. See that? Beneath that cage of spines. All right, so spines keep off, they keep the herbivores off. They also keep the sun off a little bit, all right? It's basically, you know, cacti will sometimes use spines to build their own little shade structure. How about that? How old that plant is? Probably a decade. Look at this guy, all right? Still half underground, all right? So how do these things germinate? Probably a seed that germinated off the parent plant right there. All right, so how do these things germinate? Is it like Cactus where they just kind of germinate and then keep sending their stem downwards, okay? Because otherwise, you know, you poke your head up too high, it's going to get burnt off by that sun, that harsh sun, especially when it's 110 degrees here in summer. Damn, look at all like it. The whole ground is alive around them, huh? The whole ground is alive. All that black stuff, all right, that's a living crust. Como se dice nice. Look how beautiful that is, all right? I almost can't get over it. Right? And of course, steps, because this limestone is being weathered and eroded in increments, all right? Basically, it's been laid down at layers. It's getting eroded slowly at layers. So whatever's been exposed the longest has, you know, spent the most time getting cut away just by wind, water, you know, the rainfall, etc. And then, of course, whatever's beneath it has spent less time getting slowly weathered and cut away. So you end up having this kind of step pattern, right? Go to Sierra Madre Oriental of northern Mexico, get the same thing. Damn, look at that lichen. Look at it. At the base of that yucca. Look at it. See that? All right. How important is that lichen to the germination of so many seedlings, I wonder? And then look at this fancy bastard over here. Okay? Salvia Engelmannii. Look at this. Holy hell. Look at those flowers, all right? Zygomorphic flowers. You got the style poking out the top, waiting to get dosed with pollen. Hairs on everything. Big landing pad for the pollinators. And then the stamens are in that flower. See that? See those little anthers, all right, deep inside that corolla, looking like a little fork. See that? So pollinators got to crawl in there, trying to get nectar deep inside that flower. When he backs out, gets the pollen on their back, and then later on, as that style elongates, see that thing up top that's curving downwards rather. That's what will receive pollen, hopefully on another flower on another plant. Thus, cross-pollination. Most plants want to cross-pollinate, but many of them are also self-fertile as well. All right, and look at those leaves on it. Look at it. Look how many of those stiff little hairs. Okay, again, adaptation to a dry environment. You see that, you know that plant you're looking at with those little hairs on it evolved in a dry environment. That is a product of selection pressure in a very arid landscape, okay, or at least seasonally arid landscape. And you got the opposite leaves like so many salvias have. A lot of people think all salvias have square stems. Nope. But all salvias do have opposite leaves. See? Leaves on either side of that stem, as opposed to alternate leaves, where like a leaf here and then a leaf down here on the other side and then a leaf down here, etc. Everywhere you just see tract houses. God, that's got to be such a terrible place to grow up. Can you imagine? Trapped in a car. If you don't have a car, you're fucked. Anyway, look at this. Got a native member of the Iris family. Okay, Iridaceae. Look at those sword-shaped leaves. See that? All right, so much broader than they, you know, just like a little flattened glaucous leaf right there. Okay, and then they're about the flower. You can see right there, there's a flower going to pop up. This is a species in the genus Cicericium. Okay, put that in your goddamn garden. You think any houses over there in any gardens in those bleak tract house developments are going to have Cicericium planted? Probably not. Okay, and then we just stepped up slope for a little bit just to, you know, check out what's going on in this ash juniper forest. Look at this Diospyros textina. Look at that Texas persimmon. Look at the bark on them when they're full grown, all right? Gives you that crepe myrtle look that so many people are going for when they plant tacky crepe myrtles, which don't do very well out here without a ton of irrigation. But instead, they could be planting native Texas persimmon, get that same smooth bark effect. Look at it. What a banger. Look at this thing. Look at this. Boraginaceae is the family here. Lithospermum incisum. You get this all over the dry prairies. You get these in Illinois as well. All right, but they do like it dry. Look at all the hairs on those leaves. Look at those tube flowers. Look at this guy. This might be a cleistogamous flower right there, just coming out the leaf axils. All right, so it can fuck itself. All right, look at that long tube though. What pollinates those? Moths? What do you think is hidden at? All right, what a cool little. How many yards got this in them? Look at that. Look at that inside of that. Looks kind of like a butthole almost. The opening of that flower. Can you say that? All right. I bet you can't say that in academia. Can you try to put that in an academic paper? Flower is kind of reminiscent of a butthole. Corolla openings reminiscent of a butthole. Anyway, this is definitely a plant I'd love to see more in native plant gardens. All right. Super showy, super cool, and super adapted to the dry limestone. Look at the limestone, all right? Basically no soil here, all right? Just limestone. I mean, it's soil, but it's directly weathered from limestone rock, all right? From what was once the floor of a Cretaceous ocean, I don't know, 80, 90 million years ago, 100 million years ago, all right? Before the dinosaurs even went extinct. So this is all gonna be destroyed, and another bleak housing tract is gonna be put up here. But you don't even need to be sad about that, all right? It'd be nice if someone swooped in and saved it last minute, all right? You can see what they just did. The Bell Bowl Prairie bulldozed that up in Illinois. You know, this is happening all over the country. It's insane. It's a cancer-like growth. It's a cancer-like economic system. It's a really shit-for-brain way to develop a landscape. It's not going to be sustainable. It's going to lead to a lot of problems in the coming decades. But there's something you can do, okay? Sometimes, you know, changing the world is just as easy as planting a garden. Learn how to grow some of this stuff. Go explore the little vestigial crumbs of habitat that are left around where you live, and learn about those plants, collect their seeds. Every flower produces a fruit. Every fruit has seeds in it, so long as that flower got pollinated. Collect that stuff, bring it home, start growing it in pots in your backyard. It'll cool your ass down after a shitty day, at work. You want to kill your boss, you know, whatever. It'll cool you down. It'll be good for you. It gets you outside. It gets you exploring the world around you instead of just mindlessly scrolling on your phone, okay? That's what you can do. Not only is it fun, but it actually directly changes the world around you. Start growing this stuff from seed, sharing it with people, planting it out, planting it in your yard, planting it in public spaces, guerrilla planting it if you want to, whatever, all right? There's a lot you can do. Don't just be whining. Don't just be, you know, lamenting. Don't just take some, well, a little bit of nihilism is good every once in a while, all right? But there is a lot you can do. That's the point. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Have a good rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, whatever shit. Go fuck yourself. Bye.